Welcome to Tagged Beyond the Award, the podcast that celebrates innovation, excellence, and leadership. Each episode dives into inspiring stories behind the nominees and winners of the TAG Awards, uncovering the breakthroughs, challenges, and triumphs that define their journey. Whether it's cutting-edge technology, transformative products, or visionary leadership, we're here to explore what it means to stand out and shape the future of your industry. Let's go beyond the award and into the heart of innovation. Here's your host, Justin Starbird.
Welcome back to Tagged Beyond the Award. My name is Justin Starbird, and I'm really excited to welcome a good friend of mine of the TAG Awards, and wouldn't be here without him, and that's Steve Everly. You're the event director of MD&M East. Steve, thanks for joining me today.
Justin, it's great to be here.
This is a pretty exciting moment for the TAG Awards. This is our inaugural event, and MD&M East and you and your team have been so welcoming to us, and we're so fortunate to be able to actually announce the winners on May 20th on the show floor. It's really exciting.
It absolutely is. Several years ago, there were activities within the group, focused around the MDEA Awards. And since those were sunset, we've been looking for an opportunity to bring a group in that really has the ability to notate what is, the latest innovation, the greatest players in the market. And TAG Awards gives us that opportunity. We've got the platform, we've got the audience. You've collected those people that really should be stepping into the spotlight. So to have them assembled with us and make that announce feels great. So kudos to you and your team for putting this together, connecting with us, and then obviously what we'll in unison deliver on site is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And the event's in May, but we have a long way leading up to it. You have been the event director, for a little while now, and not everybody attends MD&M East. I can't figure out why, and it quite honestly, because there is so much value there. But from a high level, talk a little bit about the show and your role.
Yeah, sure. So I am a group event director with Informa Markets. I've got responsibility over several of our North American events. A couple of them are fairly myopically focused in the processing area, the International Powder and Bulk Solids Conference and Exhibition, and also our PBS Texas event. But in the case of MD&M, I do have responsibility for both our MD&M East in New York and also MD&M South in Charlotte, North Carolina. So, I mean, when I look at, sort of sharing the view on MD&M East, it is the largest design and manufacturing event on the East Coast. And we focus on, several areas, med tech, robotics, packaging, plastics, quality, and that's all under one roof. So it gives our attendees that opportunity to explore, cutting edge technologies or connect with industry leaders, discover, innovative solutions while they're in the process of open projects and needing to source. And, when I mentioned those individual areas, it's really a differentiator in that we're not a standalone show. We share that space, and there's a through line of connectivity between all five, I'll call them related events. We offer a full view of the product development cycle, and that's from design and automation through to manufacturing and quality control. So it is the whole continuum. And that makes us unique and especially valuable to those professionals that are on site. And while they're tackling their complex challenges, they get that chance to explore the full advanced manufacturing landscape. And so, it really is, New York is a very robust, vibrant environment to host this event. And so I'm really looking forward. What we're seeing right now in terms of demographics on the event are very, very strong. So it's going to be a great, I'll call it team of people, irrespective of which bucket they come from, that'll be on site there and investing their time into participating in the TAG Awards presentations.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it. It's crazy to think that this is going to be, yeah, your 40th anniversary of this show for Informa. Of course, it's been it's evolved over the years. Talk a little bit about, what the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years has been like, because I know before COVID, there were challenges making sure people would come, and then COVID, of course, shut everything down for a bit. You guys have reinvented the show, so to speak, and I would argue it's as robust as ever.
Yeah, I mean that the pandemic set live events on its ear.
Yeah.
There's no question about that. Internally, there's always been this drive to get back to a period that was pre-pandemic in terms of the quantification of audience. But what we're seeing and what's been developed over the years since, or the additions since, is that we're seeing a really qualitative attendee show up. And when I say that, it's in respect to, the number of C-suite or decision makers that we have on site, the tremendous number of engineers that we have on site across, various disciplines. And part of what we've needed to do, and I feel it's a responsibility of trade show organizers, is to really cultivate that next generation of loyal attendee, right? And I say that from the perspective of what I've learned being on site at various college campuses and seeing how much wherein that student or sort of early career population really wasn't sort of driving decisions. That gap has really narrowed over
Yeah.
time. Companies are coming into those campuses, they're cultivating their workforce while they're still in school. And so when they come out, we've got that, again, responsibility to make sure that experientially we're delivering what they want on show site. And so that's a little bit different than what it was in the past, right? When we
Yeah.
just looked at sort of quantification of numbers. Now, we've got to embed additional features. We do a lot around workforce development right now, helping, early stage career folks, propel their own vocations. And that's through, features like professional headshots on site or resume reviews or mentorship programs where we connect veterans with those that are early stage. But this is all in an effort to make sure that we're continuing to populate the show with people that are, one, excited, and two, really in a position to make those decisions around the efficiencies that are available through our sponsors, exhibitors.
Yeah, and you continue to make it unique with the types of speakers, the panels, the product showcases, and even new pavilions that you have on site.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, what the keynotes look like this year, what some of the sessions are that you're excited about, and what people have to look forward to on site.
Yeah, so in this edition, we've got two really strong workshops that we've embedded to really enhance industry expertise. We've got one, it's called the Digital Lean Manufacturing Workshop. That's led by SESME, and what they're planning to do there is to kind of show how to blend traditional lean principles with Industry 4.0 tech around boosting efficiency, flow, quality, et cetera. We've got another workshop that is called ChatGPT and AI Prompt Mastery, obviously important these days. We've got um, Jason Bean from Pipperl and Fuchs is going to walk through practical techniques for writing better AI prompts. Just in an effort to provide more clear communication, real-time optimization, and troubleshooting opportunities. And that's really ideal for anyone who's looking to get more from AI tools while they're on the job every day. In respect to keynotes, we've got a couple interesting ones here. We've got AK Karen, who's the VP of Advanced Engineering and Innovation at Baxter, and he's going to share how AI and machine learning are optimizing supply chains through sensor-driven monitoring, real-time anomaly detection, greater production flexibility. So it's great to have Baxter on board with us for this, and really looking forward to that keynote. The second is kind of a nod to New York. We've got Emily Winston, who's the founder and CEO of Boychik Bagels. It's New York after all.
Yeah.
And she has adapted her facility to take advantage of end-of-arm tooling and transformed her production into fully automated. So kind of like taking away the or debunking myths around certain areas and robotics just generally, and focused on how to deliver higher quality products while also, kind of easing up some of the labor shortages and reducing some of the workplace strain that, companies are feeling. So really using that advance in automation in a real way, a real way. Um, and then there's a third keynote topic that we're going to announce next week. So things are continuing to develop, but we're going to have Omar Khatib, who's the host of State of MedTech podcast, on board, and he'll be delivering a third keynote that'll happen on day 2. So a lot going on, a lot in terms of content, and that's just with the keynotes and the workshops. Of course, we've got multiple stages of complementary education throughout the show as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those stages is going to be the innovation showcase area where the TAG Awards will be. We're excited to be, a part of that, and we'll have an innovation wall there to showcase the TAG Award winners and folks that were important to, getting this particular event of the TAG Awards off the ground. But it was in no small part to the effort of MD&M and you and your team to help share our story and get it out to the folks in your community. And we can't be more thankful for everything that you've done so far. What does it mean to have that partnership and showcase those sorts of companies and emerging leaders in the medtech space?
Yeah, and again, mutual congratulations here, because you and your team are really taking the lead with this. It's important for us to, spotlight that innovation, having the innovation showcase on the floor, having that as an interactive feature where our attendees can come in, view, the noms and the winners of the TAG Awards, and then having, you and your team be able in a position to, make those presentations live on site. That's an opportunity for us across the board. One, it gives us more fuel for additional content and opportunities to really drill down into the innovation that your winners are bringing to audience. And it gives us, again, another touch point to attendees to feel as though when they come on show site, they're going to learn the best, the brightest, the biggest, the greatest that is actively available in the marketplace. So altogether, I mean, a combination between both of our teams on this collaboration, it absolutely made sense. And we're really just happy to be in a position to make this inaugural activity be as strong as it possibly can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Us too. And to further the point on the emerging technologies and companies, you have a pulse on innovation as well. You have to, in order to keep these events fresh. What are some of the trends or even the companies that you're seeing in attendance that folks should definitely be checking out?
Yeah, and that's the thing. We stay ahead of the trends in the market, and one of the larger shifts that we're seeing, and it's reflected in what I mentioned in the workshops, is that we're putting additional attention on AI and smart manufacturing. The industry in and of itself is increasingly relying on that data. The automation associated with it, the intelligent systems and that are available to really boost overarching efficiency. When you think of AI as a consumer, there's a lot of rhetoric out there, but it's not a buzzword in industry, in our industries here, right? We're really driving results and around device development, our quality control, regulatory compliance, and that's not going to end anytime soon. So we have to stay ahead of that, as and call it a trend, but it's here to stay. One of the other areas that we focus on is around sustainability. We really take a leading approach around that. We launched the Sustainable Manufacturing Expo in Anaheim this past February, but that's a response to stricter regulations and dare I say it, a growing consumer demand for environmentally responsible med tech, right? So we're going to have a sustainability talks within our networking zone on show site, and just really across the board, you'll see that as a common theme. And then, digital transformation overall, another key theme. How do we power greater precision? What's that adaptability look like? Again, focused on compliance, which is so important in med tech, right? So, our attendees are going to see, the latest in minimally invasive tech, advanced robotics, telehealth-enabled devices, and all of the ways in which that's changing how care is delivered.
What do you see as, some of the most important steps for folks that are going to be in attendance to take in order to prepare for the show, or, even thinking about exhibitors and sponsors, how can they activate their participation within the MD&M East ecosystem? I mean, you talk about the five shows in one and the 10 to 15,000 people that'll be in attendance, as well as all the excitement around, the panels and keynotes. It can get overwhelming for, for some companies, especially if they haven't been there before. What are some of your, best practices that you can share?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the most successful of the trade show exhibitors, they follow a pretty distinct strategy. There's a lot of that connectivity that can occur before the show when they're building buzz, whether it's through social media or their own personalized outreach. We've seen that that personalized outreach can generate up to 35% more leads for our exhibitors. With in respect to booth design, they're focusing more on interactive experiences. They're choosing higher traffic spots to boost their visibility. There are organizations that are employing like interactive games within their booth. There are educational mini sessions, all in an effort to help draw crowds and showcase their own expertise. And then in their post-show follow-up, we always sort of challenge our exhibitors to make sure that they take that final step and keep that momentum going. More often than not, now we are seeing what's been a bit of a shift, and we talk about again quantitative versus qualitative, but our attendees are showing up much more prepared than really ever before. They've mapped out where they want to go, who they want to speak to, because there's so much information that they can gather online through their own social networks, et cetera. But they really want to take that opportunity to connect face to face, fist bump or shake a hand and get that reassurance that they're looking for before they make the decision to move forward with, a particular supplier. So I feel as though, we're seeing a more educated exhibitor and a more educated attendee than ever before. And by nature of the metrics we see, we uncover, what the prospective average net spend is per attendee. And over the past couple of editions of New York, it is skyrocketed. And that feels great because we know that the business is being conducted there. We know that the attendees are getting their areas of interest satisfied. We know that they're sourcing from suppliers that can really change the dynamics of their business and help them be more successful.
And those are, not to be funny, but those analysis that you've done are also adjusted for inflation, right? So that it's not just more money because everything costs more today. People are getting more value out of the money they are spending.
100%.
What do you see in terms of, I think about the event, and you mentioned folks are coming with their own agendas, or they're more educated about what they're there to see. I find that to be the case in B2B trade shows in general now, because from our analysis, so here we are talking about the tag awards, and we're on the Tag to Be on the Award podcast, and there's a lot of excitement that with this, but it's also born out of the Abley Group, a full service marketing agency that is also part of this. And one of the things that we see from that side is that sometimes on the B2B space, a company needs to interact with a potential customer, 11 to 20 times before they cross that threshold of actually becoming a new client.
Right.
And even though I may own a digital marketing agency, we're full believers in, people are still going to do business with whom they know, like, and trust. And if you can, to your point earlier, shake hands or fist bump with somebody, that number of touches goes down dramatically
Yeah.
because now they've put a face to the name, so to speak. It's not just a
Yeah.
Zoom and it's not just a LinkedIn profile. It is, a handshake and an opportunity to get to know somebody on a human level. And
Yeah.
I feel like that is so important to capture at events like this.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, I hope that every attendee that makes the investment to, be on site walks away, and I'll say with one meaningful connection. I'm hopeful that it's many more than one,
Yeah.
but one that can truly impact the business, and that goes beyond that, the products and the tech that's on display, but the real value in that the ecosystem that is that innovation network, right? There's unexpected partnerships that come out of that interplay between people. There's the exchange of ideas across various specialties. There's that inspiration that comes from seeing where the industry is headed. It's active, it's dynamic, it's energetic, and that gives the attendee and the exhibitor, that reassurance that they are walking down a path with fundamentally finding solutions to the challenges that they're facing. And let's face it, there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and you need, I'll put in air quotes, those friends that you can do business with. And that's what the trade show does for them. It gives them that opportunity to really feel the connection.
I've always loved trade shows for the ability. You'd mentioned companies going on campuses to recruit and start to cultivate their future employees early on in their collegiate careers or just as they're ending. And one of the things I always find fascinating and actually really exciting is when you see a company that's brought on some new hires, you can tell they're fresh out of school and they're learning the ropes on how to pitch in real time
Yeah.
and get their sales pitch down and just getting to the opportunity to talk about what it is that they do. There aren't that many opportunities for younger employees to do that nowadays unless they go to shows like this, and where previously there had been a pullback on attendance. Now you're seeing more companies lean into these opportunities, and I just think that is such a what's old becomes new again, and I feel like you guys have always been there and continued to be that leader in this space. And I think there's a real value in that for both the exhibitors as well as the attendees, not to mention, your sponsors.
Absolutely. There's actually a new program that we started this year, where we are looking at, pioneers of industry, the Medtronics, the Baxters, the Strikers, et cetera, and looking at internal advocates. And we talk about, the next generation. I've been surprised at the number of hands that have risen around wanting to talk through to cross departments about the value of the trade show experience, and really wanted to sort of captain bringing more of their staff to a live event to experience that. Because, listen, we talk about it again. The pandemic put a bit of a curveball into that dynamic, but those that get it and really recognize that value, I'm loving seeing them step up and taking charge of what that can be, and the ROI that can deliver back to their businesses. So it really is great.
Yeah. One of the things I've got to feel like, might be pressure for you and the team is to keep the event young, keep it fresh, keep it
Yeah.
interesting. How, do you guys go about curating content or speakers or the proverbial staying ahead of the trends?
Yeah, and sometimes, you just have to take a pause and listen. And
Yeah.
for New York specifically, we listen to both attendees and exhibitors over a few editions, and due to some maybe the cost prohibitive natures of operating in New York, we changed the cadence on New York. We were annualized. We traded the event every year in New York, and we changed to a biennial schedule. In doing so, that offered another opportunity for us to penetrate an area of the East Coast that we had been vacant from for a while. And we launched a mirror image event in Charlotte, North Carolina called MD&M South. So, there's a certain urgency that is baked into that. Those that are vested in the New York Metro recognize that, they're not going to get this opportunity to have that face to face with us every year. It'll be every other. So there's more commitment, there's more engagement, there's more, dynamic energy associated with that. But the other part of it is too, we find ourselves listen, Informa is the largest event organizer in the world, and that is great. But we are differentiated in the fact that we also have attached media properties to each one of our vertical markets, whether it's, our Packaging Digest or Plastics Today or MDDI, which obviously you are familiar with. But
Yes.
we stay engaged with our audience 365 days a year, whether it's through our digital media, our external outbound communications, et cetera. So for us to stay fresh, we get that input on a regular basis, and that feeds into our content development. So we really, before we show up on site, as we're building out our agendas, we get that opportunity to identify the trends, find those subject matter experts, and then deliver on that content while we're on show site, so that the attendee fully feels the value from being there, from engaging, from participating, and they take that back to their businesses. So we've got a multi-channel approach that keeps us fresh. And again, you have to listen to your clients, internal and external, all the time. You know this, right?
Yeah.
So, and sometimes, those decisions fly in the face of legacy, and more oftentimes than not, when you make a thoughtful, considered decision on how to move forward, it pays off. And I'm really happy with what we've done in respect to New York and what we've done with the launch of MD&M South.
Yeah. All right. So last question for you.
Sure.
This is going to put you right on the spot. I know, so that's such a tough place for you to be, right? But what are you looking forward to? What are you most excited about for the show coming up in New York?
Yeah. So for me, again, I love the developmental things. I love the idea that Tag Awards is coming in with us, launching here, putting its best foot forward to really bring in the attendees and the suppliers that can benefit from this high level of innovation that's going on developmentally. For me, love to see that next gen of industry folk that are, just building on their careers. I don't discount mentorship at all. I was actually interviewed for an article not too long ago, and that was one of the areas that I focused on. Early in my career, I dismissed an opportunity for mentorship, and I learned from it the hard way. And so now being in a position for a legacy brand like MD&M to be able to provide younger people this opportunity for participation, that feels really great. Also for me, I'm super proud of the content that we're going to be delivering while we're on site. And, building networks is very important. We live at a look at the screen world, and, that the interface between humans is very important. And so I could go on and on. I could read a laundry list of the things that I'm looking forward to, but it really is the connectivity across the board, whether it is at sourcing or just building your network or advancing your career or reaching out to, someone who has, been in the trenches in the day-to-day before you and listening to what their experience has been. And perhaps maybe when they're graying out or they're moving on with their own career, imparting to them some of the wisdom that is what today's current landscape is. That's great stuff, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I appreciate some of your guidance. I appreciate the opportunity that I get to guide other clients and our nominees. This show means a lot to my company, to the Abley Group, to the TAG Awards. Actually, funny story. It is. How we got into medtech was I had seen the show as an opportunity to expand our client base, and it was a few years into the start. We didn't have any med tech clients, so to speak. And I think you know this, but others may not. We're based just north of Portland, Maine, so not a huge hub of manufacturing any longer. But it was an opportunity we saw. We took it. Met a couple of prospects there, one of whom happened to actually be from Maine. And they were later purchased by Precision Optics, which became one of our clients. So it's a really a neat full circle moment to be able to launch our own program there and to have you guys as partners to be able to do it. It's been pretty fantastic. So we're really looking forward to it.
That's great. I'm really looking forward to it, and it is right around the corner. For any of your listeners, if you have interest to be on site in New York, I would love to host you there. If you want to look at a laundry list of reasons to attend that we haven't covered here today, you can go to mdmeast.com. I can be reached directly at steve.everly@informa.com, and for any other questions. My staff stands at the ready to be able to help with anything, overarching questions or logistics questions, anything that they really need, and would love to see them on site for a very valuable experience across the board. So yes, we'll be in New York, May 20th through 22nd. Can't wait to see you there, Justin. TAG Awards are going to be phenomenal, and we'll be high-fiving and fist bumping in the aisles.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you so much for today. On behalf of my guest today, Steve Everly, the event director for MD&M East, you've been listening to Tagged.
On behalf of our guest today and host Justin Starbird, thank you for listening to Tagged Beyond the Award. We hope you've been inspired by the stories of innovation and leadership shared today. Don't forget to subscribe and join us for more incredible journeys behind the breakthroughs. If you or someone you know is leading the way in innovation, visit tagawards.co to learn more about how to get involved. Until next time, stay driven, keep innovating, and keep reaching for excellence.